listening to Love and Movies. I am Thomas,
And I'm Morgan.
and today we're going to talk about migration.
Yep, so Migration, that is the one in theaters. The Illumination movie.
Illumination.
Which of course, I always think about the Minions saying it whenever.
Yes.
Which we've literally just left the theater. And decided to just immediately get to the microphones and start talking about. That way it's fresh in our head. So since it just came out this weekend,
Yesterday.
which is the weekend of Christmas, so we're recording on the 23rd of December. If you haven't seen it, hold off, because we are a spoiler type of podcast. We talk about the movie.
Yes.
So what'd you think?
I think we should talk about the opening little movie that they did first.
There was a short which I wasn't expecting. I mean, I didn't really read anything beforehand before we went.
I heard that they were going to do a short, but I didn't know what they were going to do it on. So it was sort of like a surprise within a surprise, I feel like.
Yeah.
So,
which honestly, I was a little confused because at first like I said, here comes the spoilers, guys. It started doing the previously in Despicable Me, like the first one. And my thought was, how is Migration, which is supposed to be an animated movie about ducks migrating, got anything to do with Despicable Me? Like, is Gru coming to get them or something? So I was confused, and then I realized, okay, we've got a short before the movie. So I thought that was kind of cool.
I felt it was cool, though, because, obviously Despicable Me came out how long ago? Almost 20 years, I feel like.
I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah, Google it. And so it was nice that they actually sort of did this homage to it and sort of
2010.
Really? 13 years? Wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was older than that. Okay, so 13 years old. So they did an homage. They actually, this short is about the main villain, who's not Gru, whose name is Vector, if you're not familiar. So they did that, let you know what happened to him while he's stuck on the moon. And I thought it was a great little short. I thought it was funny. Definitely interesting. Sort of moments, but
it was this was not information I thought about after. I wonder what happened to Vector. But it's kind of well, yeah, I mean, that's just how your brain works, though.
Yeah.
But it's kind of oh, okay. Now we know what happened to him. This is cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was cute. I always like seeing the Minions. I think the Minions are cute. I think they are the best thing to come out of Illumination, because obviously, I mean, let's face it, Minions is Illumination's moneymaker.
Yeah.
If there's a Minion, it's selling money. It's selling,
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't know if we've mentioned this before on the podcast, but I love theme parks. So Universal Orlando just this summer created a Minions Land. So that just shows you yes, Minions are popular. So putting the Minions in, because the one Minion from the first movie, which again, I wasn't thinking about, but the one that took the anti-gravity potion from Dr. Nefario and floats off. We don't know what happened to him. Well, now we know with his short.
He gets rescued.
Yeah.
So he got rescued. Vector does not get rescued. Spoiler, but
But what's so funny is also I'm here's a little teachable moment, boys and girls. Um, Somebody's trying to help you, but if you think that you're too smart,
Yeah,
sometimes you can be too smart for your own good and you don't get rescued
yeah,
like Vector did
twice. They gave him
twice.
two opportunities, and he still
Yeah.
so.
But yeah, that was cute. Um,
It was a good segue into the actual migration movie. So it sort of had like a little bit of a tie-in because they obviously going from Earth to the Moon migration, and
yeah.
then of course being rescued. So it was sort of like a nice little segue sort of thing, um, which I think I just did right,
Yeah.
pretty well. Segue right into migration.
So, just brief synopsis with migration
Synapses.
is basically ducks, a family of ducks, um, convince the head of the family, the dad, that they need to leave the pond that they've lived at their entire lives and migrate. And the chaos, hilarity, drama, all the emotions ensues on their journey.
Yeah, I mean, like premises. Obviously, I feel like it's a done story told numerous times, and
Kind of has
you
some
know,
Rio vibes.
yeah, there's been a bunch of different like premises about things of this nature.
Yeah.
Being stuck in your own ways, and being too scared to move on. Just a little different take because it's more of a family oriented event than it
Yeah.
is just like an individual person or individual animal or however you want to interpret it.
And of course,
Oh,
this was like a good weekend for it to come out, being the weekend before Christmas.
yep.
Obviously, kids are out of school. Um, you know, you might be like, okay, I got to get my kids out of the house because whatever chaos is going on with the holidays, like, any kids need to get out of somebody's hair. Let's take them to a movie. Like, this is a good movie. But on the same aspect, we don't have kids,
No.
and we went to go see it because it's a cute movie.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm actually a big Illumination animation fan to begin with, though. Like, I don't feel like there's any bad Illumination movies that I've seen. Some people obviously feel otherwise, but I feel like all of their animations are pretty solid for the most part. I mean, like, obviously, Despicable Me and all that, they have great animation quality, great characters, great stories, so I'm always excited when I see an Illumination. And at first, I was sort of like, ducks flying. Like Morgan said, it had Rio vibes, and I was sort of like, well, but I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. I mean, it's we have our
Yeah.
Regal membership, which we get to see unlimited movies for. So we are like, I'll just give it a shot. And I was actually happy to see it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was charming. I thought it had um, great character depth, and I just thought it was a good movie overall.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, and I think we like talked, like, briefly talked about in the first episode of our podcast where we kind of like described each other's vibes. I am a huge Disney nerd. But I still have love for Illuminations. Like, if it's not a Disney movie, if it's an Illumination movie, I'm still good. Um I feel like DreamWorks used to be like the number 2 as far as like animation studio. But I feel like they're kind of dropping the ball lately, but that's like a whole other
Yeah.
topic. Um but like, yeah, it was super cute. Um I kept, and like, I googled as soon as we got out of the theater. I kept like getting stuck on, like, I always try to guess the voices, like who's voicing that character. So we've got, like, a mom and a dad, and okay, these are mallard ducks. So mom and dad, and then little brother, little sister, um, characters. Um, I kept getting stuck on the dad, whose name is Mac. I'm like, who is that voice? I feel like I've heard that voice. I just can't name that person. And so when I Googled it, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, so I apologize in advance. Kumail
Kumal
Nanaji.
Kumal Nanaji. He's a
Kumail,
comedian.
yeah.
Yeah.
which we've seen like stuff that he's done. Like I know him
The-
from like Life as You Know It. Um,
I know him as a comedian primarily, but
yeah,
I also saw, is it The Sick or
The Big Sick.
The Big Sick? He was actually fantastic in that. Like that was
Yeah,
a really good movie, and it's based on his personal life, how he
yeah.
met his wife.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Um, but like I kept like, who was that voice? Who's that voice? Um, I think like obviously like the big like Elizabeth Banks is Pam, who's the mom, and she always does like a pretty decent voice. Um, and honestly, like I went in kind of like thinking, okay, this is gonna just be like a cute animated movie. Um, and I feel like I'm gonna give like a contradictory review. Like, did I like it? Yes. Is it the best? No. Um, there could have been things they could have expanded on. They could have done some things to make it a little bit better, a little cuter, a little funnier. Like I even if it's an animated movie, I love an animated movie that kind of sucks me in. Any movie that sucks me in is like good. And I wasn't really like sucked in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think it's also the fact though it's sort of hard to be like completely like sucked in though when it's like animals to a degree, if that makes any sense.
It does, but I feel like I have watched, I mean, I'm trying to think of like, I mean, obviously like you don't get sucked in with Minions, but
Yeah.
and they don't speak English.
Yes,
But
they
I
do.
I do get kind of sucked into what's going on in whatever Minions movie I'm watching, be it
Yeah.
Despicable Me or Minions or whatever. Um,
Yeah, but they have human,
yeah, that's not a good example.
I'm
Um,
talking like, so think like Sing 1 and 2. Like you sort of get a little bit sucked in because they're humanized, or what do they call it, anamorphized or something like that.
yeah, but I mean like um I feel like even though they are like humanized, it's still a good story.
Yeah.
Um I just feel like as cute as this movie was, there was room for improvement.
Well, of course. I mean, it's not like a top 10 movie, like, let's be
Yeah.
honest. Like
Um it was
like
a,
when
it was
I
a generic
yeah,
is
I
kind of
mean,
how I would say it.
it's a trope that's been done numerous times, the whole I'm scared of the world environment, so that
Yeah.
automatically goes in. You're sort of like, okay, I've seen this, but what's the take on it? Obviously, it's animals instead of people, so it's sort of like, okay, well, this is another trope that's been done. Animals, okay, it's a you know, family movie, so you're sort of like, okay, how many other family movies where these things happen, crazy antics? I mean, there's millions probably. So you're sort of like you're you're tying all these elements together to make this unique concept, but it's not overtly unique, but it's not like far-fetched either.
Yeah, but I mean like I feel like there could have been some character development. Like
Oh,
obviously the dad Mac is scared to leave the pond at first. Well, like, why is he scared? Did something traumatic happen? Because I mean, you don't see his mom and dad. There's no grandma and grandpa. There's Uncle Dan, who's Danny
Uncle Dan.
DeVito, which was um
Awesome.
little. It was a little bit of comic relief, but I'm like they could have made it. I mean, it's Danny DeVito. Like, you could have
It
done a
is
little bit
Danny.
more with the man. He's like acting legend, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but I was like, okay, is there character development? Why is he scared? Did something happen to mom and dad? Like, is that why he doesn't want to leave the pond? Because they left one day and never came back? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
give me something more.
there's some obviously bits and pieces that are left out that would have made the story, you know, better.
Yeah.
But at the same instance, though, like I feel the elements, because obviously it's a kid movie, and I say that with quotes, a kid movie, right? It's supposed to be designed for kids, but there are, of course, elements for adults in there, but it's designed to really get the kids involved and things of
Right.
that nature. So, like, the things that they did to bring the adults in, I felt was good, but you can't have it as like Bambi. Bambi mom gets shot within the first like 5 minutes, and all the kids are like, "Oh my god!" You
Yeah.
can't. You can't really have that play anymore. It's sort of like,
Well, I mean, I guess like so when I think of migration, I'm thinking of it when it goes into streaming services. Because let's face it, if it goes to DVD, who buys DVDs anymore? Um, there's probably somebody out there, but
yes,
like this is gonna be the movie that the little kids are gonna be like, play it again, play it
yeah,
again, play it
yeah.
again, because like it's a general enough for them to like find it cute. Um and the parents might drive them crazy, but it's generic enough that they can, do things around the house while the kid is entertained and playing in front of like the TV while this is playing.
I don't
Um
know. I'd be concerned that the kid might try and act like Gwen and try and like tame the dragon.
so what Thomas is talking about is there's a scene, and like, so it seems like every time they land, obviously something's going to happen. It's a movie, so it's never like steady as they go. Everything goes according to plan. Um, so one point they land and they find like a kind of like a secret entrance, and it turns out to be one of those like free range farms for ducks and other birds. Um, and there's a pool for these free range animals to frolic in. So it looks like
I,
a resort,
I'm
you know.
jealous. Like how those ducks were living, I'm jealous. Like I would have totally signed up for that.
Yeah,
Maybe not the being eaten part afterwards, but at least the living part.
right. So Gwen, which is the little sister duck, is playing in the pool with dad, and dad is pretending to be a dragon, and she's like taming the dragon. Somehow she gets a shovel and she whacks him in the head, and it's
Fuck him.
hilarious. But like this little duck, who's like this cute little furball, like a little chick, has got some like
She feisty.
intensity issues. Like she is feisty. Like this is a little chick that you're like, man, this chick can defend their own. Like,
Yeah.
you know. So like that was pretty cute. Um, but yeah, like,
She also tamed the alligator at the end.
yeah, and like I kept getting a little confused with the voice of Gwen, because I'm like, some things came out that didn't sound like an American accent, like it sounded a little British, and I'm like,
Yeah.
are they making the little girl British or is she American? Like what? That was kind of throwing me.
Yeah.
Um, but
Did you figure out who the actress was, or?
like this is her like first voiceover. Her name is, and again, I'm probably gonna mispronounce it. Tressie Gazal. There's no photo of her on IMDb or anything. This is literally her first job. So, hey, cool for her. But yeah, like I was left wanting more.
Where are you? Oh, that's where I recognize the voice. So the voice of Aaron, who was the crane.
This Carol
Is
Kane.
Carol Kane. Yeah.
Which I figured that out while watching it, which that was
Like,
so there's this one part in the middle, again, this is when they're landing on their journey. And it honestly looks like, and could be like the bayous in Louisiana or something like this. It is storming, they are under this like rickety, falling apart little dock. And this herring, like, with the long legs, and also need to also say, like, the dad has also told the kids that like a herring is going to eat you and kill you
yeah, at the
before they
very
have decided
beginning.
to migrate. So this heron like sticks their little long neck under the deck, and it's this like crazy looking character, like, you know, come with me, like, come stay, and like we'll take care of you. But they, all four of them, actually all five of them, because Uncle Dan is on this journey too, like, think they're gonna be eaten by herons. But yeah, like, I feel like the character is only a character that Carol Kane can play, because it is this kooky, nutty, like,
It's
you don't know if she really is
yeah,
crazy or if she's just pretending to be crazy,
yeah.
or both.
Yep.
And of course she
And-
turns out to be like a great friend, like, you know,
yeah.
takes care of them that night, gives them breakfast, ends up saving their life in the middle of the night because like a catfish tries to
Eat
eat
the
the
ducks.
little birds.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was a good character casting choice for that voice, I think.
I feel like they could have like that was. I feel like when they introduced those characters, like they could have like had them come back later though, and that was the thing is like they introduced a couple of the characters where I felt it was going to be more longevity, and the
Yeah.
people who I thought were going to be like sort of like this, you know, short stay and just more like a quick interface, they stayed way longer than I thought, sort of
Well,
thing.
like the trailer, which again, we have like a Regal Unlimited membership. We pay a fee every month and we can see unlimited movies at our local Regal cinema. Um so we saw this trailer like multiple 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 times.
Oh god,
Um and like the trailer makes you think that the family ends up in New York, and that's kind of where the whole story takes place, is New York. Or like a New York-esque
yeah,
city.
yeah. Well, they do say Queens, Jamaica, so it is New York.
Yeah. I just thought about that. Um, but they're not in New York long.
No,
Like, not even like maybe a day.
the equivalent of a day. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is fine, because honestly, like, when they took off, I'm watching it like, yeah, you know what? It doesn't make sense for them to be there the entire time for this movie because they have wings. They can fly away.
Yeah.
Um, so like I get it,
But
but the
I
trailer kind of misleads you in that way.
but I also felt like though that they could have been trapped there and they were trying to get out and the chef was trying, you know, obviously trying to eat them and everything else. And so it would have been this sort of like cat and mouse dynamic where, you know, the ducks are trying to get away, but the chef is constantly trying to chase them, which is the premises of the movie.
Yeah.
That is the premises of the movie. But I felt it would have made more sense in a New York vibe compared to where it goes outside of that, which I didn't. That I sort of was like, eh.
Yeah, which I mean, I totally agree with that. So like I said, especially if you've seen the trailer, you see this like, you know there's a kitchen scene because they talk about duck a l'orange, and what is it? It's duck with
It's
l'orange sauce.
it's you with
Yeah.
orange.
Yeah. So like there's this chef character. And one thing I do have to commend Illuminations on, and I was telling Thomas this on the way home, I'm glad they didn't make it look like a specific celebrity chef. Like, if they made it look like, Gordon Ramsay or Guy Fieri or whoever.
Yeah.
Like, that would not have been good for like that chef in real life. I feel like there'd be little kids like crying to the chef, like, "Why are you trying to eat the ducks?" Um, so
I
I'm
thought it'd been
glad.
great. I thought
Of
it'd be
course you,
great.
of course you would.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they didn't try to make the chef character look like a specific celebrity chef in the real world. Um, but obviously the chef wants to cook up the ducks and serve it in his restaurant, and you know what chefs do. Um, but once they leave New York, you think they're home free. You think, okay, the chef's never going to show up. Chef shows up to the free range
Duck
um
farm.
duck farm, and I'm like, okay, stretching it a little bit, but okay, I'll go with this. And of course, the duck family helps free the ducks that are
Oh,
about to get on this like semi full of food because the free range ducks are being tricked that they're going to go on a trip to, wherever,
I
but
mean,
they're
they
in
aren't going
fact
to go
about
on a trip.
yeah, but they're in fact about to go to a restaurant to be killed
Yeah.
and chopped up and eaten. Um but once they get away from the free range farm, the chef is in this like military like up like
It really
basically
is
it's a
like,
military helicopter that he has like pimped out.
yeah, it's all dragon.
Um and he finds the whole flock because all the ducks that have left the farm are now with the family. It's like they have landed in this like I can only assume it is some kind of like abandoned hotel off the beach because they're like sleeping on the deck um and by the pool and nobody's at the pool. And like I said, my brain is like, this hotel must not be running because there would be humans there.
Yeah.
But again, this is where my brain was going while I'm watching this. But then the helicopter is like hovering over this town, which could it gave me like Miami vibes. Um
Because they're trying to go to Jamaica, the
yeah,
island
they're
in
trying
the
to go to
Caribbean.
Jamaica, so it makes sense for it to be Miami. And I'm just sitting here thinking like, how the hell did this chef find them? Like, is there a tracker in one of the birds? Like, there's no like I'm just sitting here like, there's no way that this chef could find this flock.
That
No way.
quickly. It does take him a little bit, well, a little bit to find them, but like with the amount of distance that they traveled, like for them to just be at that location exactly at that particular moment is a little far fetched. Of course, again, it's a movie, so you got to sort of play into it. But at the same instance, like it takes you out of the realm because you're sort of like, wait, what? Why is this
And,
happening?
and maybe they didn't think about trying to explain it because it is a kids movie.
Yeah,
But yeah, my brain the entire time that this helicopter is hovering over this town, by the way, with big ass spotlights, I was sitting here thinking like, no, this makes absolutely no sense.
and a giant net that he can drop out of a quick release hatch.
Yeah, and like I said, this has to like he had to have bought it from the military. Like,
He
of
bought it
course,
from Gru. That's where the tie-in from the
like
beginning.
this is and like my brain is trying to like add the pieces together, and I'm like, okay, he bought it from the military or grew or whoever,
Well,
and came with a net. Yeah, no.
there's sort of like this weird, like this other weird thing that happens though, is because like for whatever reason, every step of the way, the Mallard family, I don't know, like Dax Mallard, whatever their last name might be, um, is like essentially like hindering this chef because he's got a pair that he got from Jamaica, so they end up at the restaurant to get
Directions to
directions to
Jamaica.
Jamaica, which they end up freeing him, and of course the chef is in like sees this happening, so there's like already some slights there, and then of course the chef sees the same thing at the duck farm, and all those things, right? So there is sort of like this escalation where the chef is obviously getting really frustrated and sort of like I want to chase these because, of course, he spends money on the ducks too, right? Not the mallard family, but the
free
free
range
range
ducks from
ducks.
the farm.
Yep. So, but at the same instance, there's like too many question mark scenes where it sort of like pulls you out.
WTF.
Yeah, it pulls you out of that. Like, I need to learn more, and then you're sort of like, that what? That doesn't really make a lot of
Yeah,
sense. Or
like
what? Why?
how did that happen? Like,
Yeah.
because like I said, if you think about it, like, okay, they started in, say, New York. So their
Well, they.
first encounter with the chef is New York.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's assume that the free range farm is somewhere in the middle. So let's assume they're flying down the East Coast. So, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, like one of those states. Yeah. And then they encounter the chef again. Their third stop is on the beach. And like I said, it looks like Miami. So let's assume Miami. You're telling me from the free range farm somewhere in the mid-Atlantic states, he jumps it, finds his helicopter, which they show the helicopter on top of his restaurant in New York.
And they show him driving into the semi.
And with the semi.
Yeah.
So we don't see the helicopter when he's at the farm. So he's gotten his helicopter from New York and flown within the same night of the ducks landing in Miami. It's like, no, this makes no sense. I'm done. I'm disconnected. You've taken me out.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of like leaps of faith that you have to take with the movie. Outside of like those sort of like world breaking things where you're sort of like you get this disconnect. I feel like they did good jobs though in other avenues. Like the ducks don't talk to the humans. The animals never talk to the humans.
Yeah.
So you're not having this weird like, wait, you can talk moment. The chef doesn't actually speak. No, none of the humans in the movie speak. It's sort of like, oh, that's not true. The singer sings, but outside of that,
I don't feel like that really counts.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like outside of that scene, because it could be like background music sort of thing or whatever you want to call it. But the chef grunts the whole time. There's no actual humans really speaking.
Yeah.
It's always grunts or silent communication sort of thing. The only things that speak are the animals, the ducks, the heron, heron.
Yeah. The parrot.
The parrot.
The animals.
Yeah, the birds. All the birds, essentially.
Yeah, because there's really no other animals that you see. Now that I think about it, like it's really all birds.
The alligator, the rat, the cat.
Yeah.
They don't speak. The rat hisses, the cat hisses, the gator just shakes his head like deathly afraid. The penguins, they speak, but they're birds. So it's just the birds speak, really.
Which it's good they do that because you don't have to be like, wait, humans and animals are speaking, and you don't have to worry about that.
So the animation style I feel like it was really well done. The bird animations are absolutely fantastic. Like you can really feel, like the birds are actually there. The comedic roles, like with Danny DeVito, Aquafina, and what's his name?
Danny DeVito, Aquafina, Keegan Michael Key, who plays Delroy the parrot.
Yeah. I feel like those instances, they do really well in their comedic aspects and do really well in those roles. Especially when the interaction between Aquafina and Danny DeVito, they have their interaction. I think that's, amazing. The family scenes are like amazing. They actually like convey a lot of emotions. You can feel, that it is a family. So I feel like even though there's a lot of disconnecting parts and world breaking parts, there's still a lot of joy to be had in the movie, a lot of good things. So that's why I said it's not a great movie. Realistically, it's a good movie,
Yeah.
um, but it's not. It's a kid movie. It is. It
Yeah.
really is a kid movie.
Like,
So
if I rank it within Illumination, which I
yes,
feel like ranking movies within their animation company is the best way, because like, and again, I'm a little biased, like there's Disney movies that you can't compare to other, animation companies, and there's ones from Illumination and DreamWorks that you can't compare to Disney movies. But as far as Illumination movies are concerned, and I've got like a list in front of me, personally, Migration goes pretty low on the list. Like I'll read off the list of Illumination movies. We've got Despicable Me, Hop, The Lorax, Despicable Me 2, Minions, Secret Life of Pets, Sing, Despicable Me 3, The Grinch, Secret Life of Pets 2, Sing 2, Minions: The Rise of Gru, Super Mario Brothers movie, and Migration. Migration is near the bottom for me.
so I didn't enjoy The Secret Life of Pets, and I didn't watch The Secret Life of Pets 2. So I would say it's near the bottom because I feel like Migration is above those two. Um, and Hop I thought was more of a um live. Yeah, it was a live action animated. So I wouldn't even consider it like a true animation movie because it's one of those they have an animated character they put into like um Roger Rabbit. So
Yeah.
think Roger Rabbit. So to me, like that isn't even like a true animation movie. So I wouldn't even consider that. So either way, though, um, Migration is still low on the totem pole, but at the same instance, like let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 movies. One, I didn't count Hop, so 13 movies. I didn't see Secret Life of Pets 2.
But that's
So
because you didn't
really,
like the first one.
I didn't like the first one. So realistically, 12 movies. And I'd put it above Life of Pets, which I would say is the worst overall. So it's not even breaking the top 10, it's top 11.
Yeah.
So, but out of all those movies, that's still pretty decent. Like, because realistically, I feel like I've watched Despicable Me like how many times? At least 20 times. I feel like I watched The Lorax at least, 10 more times, 10 times Despicable Me 2, like 20 times Minions, at least a couple dozen times, half a dozen times. Sing, I've watched the most. I feel like Sing is my all time favorite
Yes, I
on
think that
that
like
list.
Sing 1 and 2 are, in my opinion, are
Yeah.
your like top favorite movies of Illumination.
Yeah. And
Just
then,
because of how much you watch them.
yeah. So,
Um
but
and
I mean,
from
that's the whole thing, though, is like, those, I feel like if they would have made it more like a Sing or Sing 2, I would have been all over it. Like, it would have been a great, great, fantastic movie. But that's not what it's about, though, right? That's not what it's supposed to be.
but also like in a way it kind of sounds like you're saying like, oh, if it would have been a musical animation, it would have been better. And I don't feel like
Eh.
this storyline called for music.
No. Yeah.
Um like my favorite Illumination movie is The Lorax.
Yeah.
Um which I don't watch enough. Whenever I see it available, like I immediately like play, done, watching it. Because I love that movie. I love the story, Dr. Seuss
Hmm.
and all that. And then for me, it's Sing 1 and 2. But yeah, I don't know, like when migration goes to like streaming services, I'm not going to be like, oh, it's finally streaming on whatever service. Let's watch it again. It would probably be more of a like, I can't find anything to watch. I need background noise while I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Would be me watching it on streaming service. Or if like I was hanging out with like a kid, like my cousin's kids, or we knew somebody that had a kid and they were just obsessed with this movie for some reason. That's like, okay, yeah, we'll watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
it's not, it's, yeah, no.
so overall though, just looking through the statistics and the charts and everything, out of all of the Illumination movies, Migration's actually within the top, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's like the top. It's in the like seventh place ratings wise. So the top is Despicable Me on Rotten Tomatoes with 81%. The lowest is Hop with 24%. Hop was just a horrible movie.
Yeah.
And then but Migration right now is at a 68% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Which also, it just came out.
Just came out.
Like, it's been out for 48 hours officially. Like, there were
Officially.
probably an early release. Some
Yep.
people probably seen it like Wednesday or Thursday. We're recording on Saturday.
Yep. The other thing though is it's not a sequel because like you have Despicable Me 2, The Secret Life of Pets 2, Despicable Me 3, Minions, Minions Rise of Gru. Those are all sequel movies in my eyes. They're all directly related to Despicable Me, so they always are going to fall lower on the totem pole.
Yeah.
So based off of that, it seems like people are enjoying it for the most part.
And
Again,
honestly, like there was like multiple kids watching it in the theater with us. So I mean,
they
like,
were. Well, I was gonna say they were in. It wasn't like quiet. Yeah. The birds and the ducks. Mommy, I want to watch the ducks, and
then I would also say littler kids.
Yeah.
Like your 12-year-old and older might be like, no.
Yeah. Too cheesy.
Yeah. Like, can we watch Despicable Me again? Like, I feel like is what those the older kids would say.
Yeah. Which good. Yes, you should let them watch Despicable Me.
But yeah,
I mean, honestly, I feel like it's I don't like they gave it a 68%, right? A rating. I feel like that's a little bit high from where I would give it. Like I would probably give it closer to like a 6.5, like
but
out
I
of
think
10.
also we are the wrong demographic. We are adults.
Yep.
We do not have younger children. Like this movie is 100% targeted for the younger audience. Like I would say if you're under 10, that's the demographic.
I don't know. I mean, like, there's a couple of scenes though, like right at the very beginning, like when they're like, "You're gonna die. A heron's gonna eat you. A eagle's gonna eat you, and a bear is gonna eat you." I mean, like, let's be honest, those aren't really, kid-friendly scenes. And then when they're like in the heron's home, and they pull out the dead fish skeleton, and they're talking about the ducks being eaten. Like, there's a lot of instances.
They've got to keep the adults into it as well, but it's not so over a kid's head. Like, and if the kid does get scared, it's enough where like the parent or the adult that's watching the movie with the kid can be like, it's okay, if this is just they're being funny, they don't really mean it, kind of thing. Like they can calm the kid down. But yeah, I'm good. Like, yeah.
Yeah, realistically, like I'd maybe watch it like one or two other times, or just like I've already watched Thing 1 and 2 for the month, and I'm just like I need something else to watch, sort of thing, and I don't want to watch like The Grinch or whatever else, and nothing's really appeasing. I might throw Migration on just as background noise, but outside
Yeah.
of that, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, let's watch it again, sort of thing.
And I think this is also it's one of the movies that we agree on, which is
Mm-hmm.
good. Because obviously there's movies that we have watched and we've talked about that we don't agree on.
Yeah,
So I feel like this is the first one that we both agreed that was like okay.
yeah,
We've either agreed that we liked it or we were kind of both a little bit more on opposite sides of the like one of us liked it over the other as
yeah.
far as movies we've talked about so far on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, like, but I figured going into this that it would be an okay movie. Like, I didn't like have high expectations. I figured it would just be like a good 2 hour, hour and a half, sort of like let your mind at ease
Distraction
sort of
kind of
thing. Yeah,
thing.
distraction. Yeah, nothing too crazy. So, but I mean, like, I was hoping it would be a little bit more than what it was because, like, I like Illumination. I think they have great um, projects that they do. But at the same instance, there was a lot of disconnect as well. So like, you know, being not seeing it again is perfectly fine with me.
Yeah.
So
Um so yeah.
and and honestly, I was the one who wanted to go see this. Like Morgan was sort of like, well, whatever. Like we can go see whatever. Like not really.
I mean like if it was like not that we do this a lot, but like sometimes it's like okay, you choose the movie and we'll see it. Like, we
Yeah.
kind of sometimes we'll take turns on that.
Mhm.
Like perfect example was Godzilla -1, which you talked about in the last episode. That
Yeah.
was 100% your choice.
Yeah.
And I surprisingly enjoyed it. Like when
Yeah.
it comes on streaming services, I'm totally down for watching it. So like if it was like if you would have been like, okay, Morgan, pick whatever movie that's out, we'll go see it. Like 100% your choice. Migration wasn't going to be one that I would have chosen. Not because I wasn't like interested in watching it, but there's other ones I probably would want to watch more.
Mhm.
Um but that's also the perk in our Regal Unlimited thing. I feel like we're doing an ad for Regal.
Well, you said you wanted to be sponsored by them after we came out, so it's been,
Yeah.
we're product placement guys. We can do this.
Yes.
So,
Everybody.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna make a joke. Everybody send our podcast information to Regal Cinemas.
Yeah, tag
Um,
us.
yeah, but
But I was gonna say though, in all honesty, like if you go see at least one movie a week, like if you like movies and you see a movie a week and you have a Regal near you, looking into the Regal Unlimited is actually a great buy because it's like $20. It's unlimited movies.
and there's different
Um,
levels too. I think
yeah,
so. But yeah, the level that we do is $20, and I think with tax, it's really more 25.
it's like 21 something. It's like
Yeah.
ours is 18.99, and then with tax it's like 21, I think.
Um.
And you also get discounts on popcorn, sodas, candies. It's like 10% off of that. Any like um, memorabilia, merchandise, things of that nature, you get 10% off of. I mean, so there's other perks outside of that too.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, yes, we have done AMC before.
Yes.
We were doing that, which that was like 3 movies a week when we were doing it, and
Yeah.
if you like ordered a small popcorn, they just automatically gave you a medium, and like
Yeah.
there were perks with that as well. Now, but I think it ended up being more a month,
Yeah, it's like
and
25 a month.
Regal is like physically closer than an AMC for us personally.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
5 minutes down the road.
yeah, so I mean, if you're listening and you're closer to an AMC than a Regal or whatever other movie theater is near you and they have a program like this and you're like us and you like us seeing movies, I think if you see at least, like I said, one movie a week, like you said, or I think at least 2 a month,
2 a month,
it pays for itself.
I would say 3 a month. I know Regal themselves says like 2 movies and it pays for itself, but I would say 3 because realistically, so if you do one movie, if you buy tickets for one movie, and the tickets are $10 a piece per person, approximately. There could be more now. I don't even know anymore.
They're probably more now.
Then you get popcorn and soda and all that other stuff. $20. You've already spent $20.
Yeah,
just doing that. Even if you go by yourself, you've just spent $20. So getting the Regal membership, even if you go see one movie a month, at getting the 10% concessions plus that, you're saving yourself a little bit of money. And if you go see 2, it's really, really worth it because you're just saving yourself even more money. I say 3 a month just because, like, then you're really, really getting a bang for your buck, sort of thing.
Yeah. And, like, it kind of becomes, like, our date night in a way. We don't, like, we do have a budget. Like, we are not millionaires in any way, shape, or form. It'd be nice. It would be nice. Yeah. But we're adults. We have our bills. We have things that we have to pay with our paychecks that we get. So this is a good way for us to have our date night or just our date, because obviously it doesn't have to be at night. We can go see them in the middle of the day on the weekends when we're not working. But like, especially for couples like us or families or whoever, like, it's a good way just to be like, let's go out of the house and just watch a movie. Let's go have time together.
And the nice thing though is that, like, you don't have to like worry about being like, oh my god, like I don't know what movie I want to see. There's so many movie choices and things of that nature. You can go to see all of them, at any point in time, as long as they're playing in theaters, like, so.
And that's one thing that, like, with this movie Migration, like, we're like, okay, it was an okay movie. If we didn't have the monthly thing that we do, I would have been like, dang, we just wasted money.
$40 at least.
Where now it's like, it was okay.
Yeah.
You don't feel that bad. At least you got out of the house. Like, that kind of thing. Like, okay, on to the next movie.
Cool poster. We got a cool poster, though.
Yeah, we did get a little poster, which I'll post on our social media. Like, it wasn't a full poster, but they were giving out a cute little poster. So, I mean, we have gotten, like, some cute little souvenirs. We saw Wish a couple weeks ago, which we'll talk about in another episode. But we got, like, a little popcorn bucket from that I've posted on our social. So yeah, I mean, like, honestly, like, if you're listening and you have a movie theater near you that has a monthly thing, and you're like us and you're gonna see it at least 2 to 3 times a month, do it.
So let's get back to the movie.
I'm just saying, like, we sound like we're talking about it. We're like becoming an ad, and that's not what we're trying to do here.
So after seeing the movie, I gave it a 6.5 on a good day, 6 on a bad day. How would you rate it?
We're doing 1 out of 10.
Yeah, 1 out of 10.
4.
4.
Yeah.
So super low. So you were.
I was bored.
You were bored. You were also cold. You were cold.
I was cold. I always have a jacket or a hoodie or something. I was legit, like, for some reason that I felt really cold in the theater. Like, I had a jacket on. I'm thinking, like, should I have brought a blanket? Like, I'm cold.
I was perfectly content.
Which you're naturally warm-blooded. Like, you are a furnace.
Yes.
But that wasn't why I was, like, bored. Like, I can kind of deal with that. Like, I know that it's gonna be cold. I just know I'm not gonna wear that jacket in the theater again unless I've got, like, a long sleeve shirt underneath it. Like, I'm double insulated with that jacket I was wearing. I just was disconnected too many times where I'm like, how did that happen? What? That doesn't make sense. Like, there was too many of those.
Yep.
So, yeah, I give it a 4.
So then we really are though. Like you're saying like it's not even mediocre. You're saying below average, and I'm giving it a little bit higher than like
So,
you
yeah,
know
I guess we're not on the same page
we're
with this
not
because
on the
I'm like,
same page.
yeah.
So, but this is why we go see movies. Like I somewhat enjoyed it. Like I thought there's redeeming qualities in it. You, on the other hand, were like, you could, take it or leave it. Um, but it's good. We saw this movie together, like we normally do. We always see most movies together.
Yep.
you know, you sort of were like, Thomas wants to see it. We'll go see it. The last one Thomas picked was pretty good. So
And it wasn't a movie that I was like, I do not want to see this. I
yeah,
was interested in seeing this. Like I said, the last one, Godzilla -1, I was like, that one was 100% like, I'm gonna see it because my boyfriend wants to see it. Like,
yep.
I'm putting on the good girlfriend hat and like, let's do it. I didn't put that hat on for this one because I was okay with watching it. Like, I'm like, okay, sure, yeah.
And see, that's how I felt though with Wish though. Like I didn't want to see Wish at all, but I went and saw it because you wanted to see it, which
And
we'll talk about. We will talk about that.
let's go ahead and say like that is what we will talk about in the next episode because I feel like
Yeah.
that's a good place to end it.
Yeah.
We'll
Last thing, on a relationship factor, after seeing this movie, what would you take away, like, as a relationship thing?
I honestly like there is a little teachable moment if you look at it. Like
Yep.
the mom and the dad are obviously, husband and wife, whatever you want to label them, they're a duck couple.
Yeah.
When they work together, like it whatever they were trying to accomplish ended up better. So like you have that little teachable moment of like in a relationship, if you work together, it's better than one person being like, I got this, stand back.
Yeah.
And that's one thing in our relationship. And I can say myself, it did take me a little bit in the beginning of our relationship. I wanted to take care of everything and, control things and like be like, I got this, like, and we're almost at 5 years.
Yep.
Know that things for us work better when we are working at things together.
Yeah. So my thing is that um there was a scene when when they first meet Chump, where essentially Mama Bear sort of comes out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And she's really protecting the husband from himself, essentially, because he
Yeah.
inserts his beak, or inserts his
He puts his
web
foot in
into
his mouth.
in his mouth. And she's like, I know he's an idiot, but let's work this out. And then she goes into like this aggressive mode sort of thing, right? And then at the end of that scene, he's like, wow, you're just so impressive. Like, I didn't know you had that in you. Like, you could be like that, be, assertive and dominant. And she turns around and she's like, oh, really? Sort of giving him the same
Yeah.
energy she just had. And he's like, oh. And she sort of like does the wink. And he's like, I see what you did there. Like realizing it's not like, it's part of her, but it's not really 100% her. It just, my thought process is it goes to show that like you should never, even if you've been together with someone for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8, whatever amount of time frame, have kids with them, there's still always something you never ever know about an individual. Like you might think 100%, every little intimate detail and all these things, but there's that one little thing that you probably will never know, or they could just, not necessarily snap, but like their personality could be like do a 180 and, the exact opposite of what you think is going to happen, comes out. Essentially like the sweet old innocent lady who's really an assassin killer sort of thing. That's, what I'm trying to say. So to me, like an instance happened earlier today where like you hear stories and something happened and Morgan let Mama Bear come out a little bit and you're sort of like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, that's my girl. You don't go there, sort of thing. But that's not really what I did. I was just sort of like, okay, fair enough. It wasn't directed towards me, by the way. It wasn't directed towards me.
I feel like if you would have been like, that's not girl, I'd be like, can you act a little more masculine right now? Like,
yeah, I would never do that. But
you would do it as a joke. But yeah.
But that's the whole thing, though. Is like you should never ever just, no matter how long you've been in a relationship, just think that a person is just so finite in their ways that nothing will change them. Because there's things out there that would change a person no matter what.
You put them in the right position, the right circumstance.
Yeah.
Something will. I feel like trigger's not the right word.
It'll get that personality, that whatever it is, come out.
You'll see that layer that you didn't see before.
Yeah.
We'll use, the layer.
Onions.
The onions have layers. Which is not Illumination, but
it's a DreamWorks, but it works.
DreamWorks, yeah. It still works though.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good. And like I can totally see that. Like, I mean, just when I think that I know you, again, a situation or something happens and you're just like, okay. Just like I said before, like in the beginning of our relationship, I was kind of like, I'm going to take care of everything. I got this, and it's like, no, like you can, like, we can do this together.
Yeah.
So, and it took me a minute because it took me a minute to see that layer of you.
Yeah. So with that being said, I think that's a great ending point. Yep. So as always, this is Thomas.
And this is Morgan.
Thank you so much for listening to Love and Movies. Next podcast, we will do The Wish. And
Just
as
Wish.
Always,
not The Wish.
Oh, I think The Wish is a different movie.
Yeah, I feel like that's a different movie.
As always, if you enjoyed the podcast, please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the follow button, whatever platform you're on. Just make sure you know when you get another notification when our next podcast is. And
speaking of where you can find us platform wise, if you're listening to the audio podcast, we do have a YouTube that you can actually watch our podcast. And if you're watching the YouTube, we do have the audio podcast version. Yeah. Wherever you listen or watch, like Thomas said, like and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are listening to an audio podcast, any reviews are greatly appreciated. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, as well as YouTube. And then you can also email us at loveandmovie